Hey everybody, Blitz here, and I hope you're all doing very well. Real quick, I want to emphasize that this topic is going to be geared heavily to the PS4 and PS4 Neo, but what I'm discussing is applicable to any of the consoles and console companies, be it Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo. Traditionally, consoles have always been about a specific piece of hardware and compatible software designed specifically for it. It's been this way since the beginning, however, consoles are reflecting the personal computer more than ever. Both the current PS4 and Xbox One use x86 hardware, AMD GCN graphics, and have large mass storage and PC standard memory types, unless you count the Xbox One's ESRAM. With the advent of the PlayStation 4 Neo and a rumored Xbox One mid-gen refresh, and even the very likelihood of an x86 Wii U successor, consoles as a specific hardware platform are likely to die out, or at least, personally, I think so. Now, I don't mean to say that there will not be any more PlayStation or Xbox consoles, but gaming ecosystems are going to become more software-based rather than hardware. We already see this with Microsoft tying the Xbox One DirectX 12 and the Windows operating system even closer together, but of course this is how it's always been with gaming on the PC, and to a certain extent Android and iOS devices. As long as your hardware is technically compatible and your software is made for that particular OS, you should be able to run that certain piece of software, though your mileage may vary quite highly because of the difference in performance across many different devices. Going back to the PlayStation 4 and the all but unannounced PS4 Neo, Sony will have two systems that the PS4 branded software will need to support. The Neo will have faster clock CPU cores, and as for the graphics, it's still not confirmed whether or not it will have just more graphics compute units, or a new version of AMD's GCN graphics architecture. I believe the latter is the case. Either way, the PS4 Neo presents some implications for the PlayStation 5. Does Sony go with x86 GCN derivative hardware again to maintain backwards compatibility, or do they abandon backwards compatibility altogether for the PS5? How much longer is this gen expected to last with the mid-gen refresh? Should Sony shelve the PlayStation as a hardware platform for a software one, more like the Xbox brand? Even crusty, senile, resistant Nintendo has started to embrace mobile devices as a revenue stream with Pokemon Go. Sony historically and generally has been more open to how they conduct their gaming business in the mobile and PC markets. While Sony Online Entertainment and PlayStation Mobile no longer exists, it is proof of how open Sony always was to the personal computer and mobile devices. It wasn't until the PS3 that Sony really could enable the same kind of MMO experiences PC players had, even if EverQuest and Final Fantasy XI were available on PS2. This further open-mindedness towards the PC was recently shown with the availability of PS4 streaming to a Windows PC. With the resurgence of OpenGL thanks to the mobile market and the development of Vulkan by the same Kronos group, Sony and even Nintendo could focus on creating content for software-compatible platforms, perhaps in a Steam or Steam OS manner. You would still have gaming consoles that are the spec games and software are designed for, but being API-based would give software a broader reach to prospective customers. It would be compatible with PCs and mobile devices with minimal porting or even none at all, as long as the software directly supports the OS and CPU type in question. For those who want a console, it would still be available with a very tailored and guaranteed experience, but for those without the console, games and software would still be playable on the PC or a mobile platform, either enhanced or reduced form. A PlayStation OS or Steam-like platform sounds like a very exciting proposition for getting games, even Sony exclusives, to the masses. Steam proved how profitable digital distribution could be for any platform, and that the PC market is extremely open to new ideas and experiences on top of mainstream gaming titles. I think most current PC gamers would be very open to playing PS4 exclusive titles on the PC, especially if it meant faster frame rates and higher resolutions. I know I would be interested in something like that. Also, not every PC gamer has a PS4. Streaming games is certainly an option, but constant internet connections are not always seen in a positive light, with internet blackouts, data limits, and stream quality limitations that can be present. With the PS4 Neo needing to be backwards compatible and software having to support a broader reach of hardware, a software platform and API route starts to make a lot more sense. Recent innovations in API development have solved many historical problems of older versions of DirectX and OpenGL that were much less efficient at using available hardware resources. It could also solve issues of backwards compatibility and even forward compatibility to a fair degree as well. On PC, any 32-bit DirectX Windows game, for example, even from the late 90s onwards, works with current hardware for the most part, or at least should. From a forwards compatibility perspective, PC CPU and graphics, even from the early 2000s, could still be used in more recent games that were not even designed for such old hardware. Much like PlayStation Mobile, Sony could employ a certification program by putting a sticker on applicable laptop and desktop computers, notably systems designed for gaming. The PC PlayStation service would have a minimal hardware spec that properly reflects a good experience in terms of frame rate, but of course one that reflects API and software requirements as well. Being part of such an open platform as the PC does put the software at the risk of piracy, however, no console is safe from piracy. Building anti-piracy measures into the platform that minimally invades the user experience while delivering an excellent customer experience is the best way to combat this problem, as evidenced by Steam. The idea that a pirated game is a lost customer is an archaic way of thinking, and punishing your legit customers is not the best way to make money. You can't assume a software pirate would have bought the software even if they couldn't pirate it in the first place. Also, buying a game once and having it available on both the PlayStation console and on PC would be an even further draw for players who want to play on multiple pieces of hardware. As far as fragmenting the player base with varying levels of performance and possibly differing controller types, this is already an issue in both PC console cross-platform games and even single-platform games, notably racing titles. It should just be seen as an opportunity to give players more options for control, and some developers already take this to heart. For example, War Thunder on PS4 is fully compatible with PC USB devices to level out the playing field, since the DualShock 4 really isn't the best controller for the game. Single-player games could require an actual DualShock, like PlayStation 4 streaming to PC already does, but once again, I encourage PlayStation developers to support other means of control. I'm very excited to see how the PlayStation 4 Neo pans out, and I'm just as interested to see what Nintendo does for the NX. However, the Neo and the software compatibility issues it will have to deal with are a higher implication and I think require more constant study and attention. I just hope that the NX is a complete refresh with no legacy hardware from the Wii U, Wii, or GameCube. So make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed this and subscribe for more tech talk from yours truly. See you next time, everybody.